So you've decorated your tree and you're like, you know, what can I do to just zhuzh this up? How can I make this look fancier? How can I make it look more impactful and more dynamic and a real conversation starter? Hello, my little cinnamon sticks. Welcome back to the merriest place on the internet. Today I have 3 things that will upgrade your Christmas tree really quickly, very easily. They're gonna grade it up. The first upgrade you can make is to go to town on your topper, okay? Just topper it. Here's a Christmas tree that I did in all red. You'll be seeing it coming up. You're gonna see what a difference it makes when I add a topper. So here you can see the topper. I ended up changing it later. It just changed the whole look of the tree. Here's the finished topper with everything else on it. It just ups it so quickly, especially if you really go over the top. You do an over the topper. I've got a topper video right here that talks all about how you can have an over the topper and things that make your Christmas tree topper just look a little more thought about and fancy, if you will. The next thing I want to talk about is Pics. They add so much dimension. They give it a 3D effect, kind of, because things are coming out of your tree and it looks so good. They're just very, very cool, and not everybody uses them. If you find Pics and Sprays intimidating, here's how I add them to my tree so that you don't have to be worried about it. First, we're gonna spread them out a little bit. Just floof them like you would your tree, your floral bunches, you know, just give them a little life, a little bit, just a little bit, just a little bit. And then we don't wanna go with the tippity top because we've got some in the topper. Now we're gonna put them in the tree, and you're not gonna leave them out too far, okay? We don't want it sticking out this far. We really only want it sticking out just a little bit, and that's gonna be a personal preference situation. Okay, see, I like it sticking out about that much. Okay, about like that. You can do a little more, but it starts to look like disconnected in my eyeballs. Why? So I like to just give them just a little bit out of the tree, especially towards the top. You don't want them looking like an arm that's hanging by a thread. That's gross. You might like that look. You do you. Every tree is beautiful. There are no rules. Okay, so just like ornaments, we're gonna kind of work in diagonals, and see how I have this kind of angled up? At the top, we want them kind of angled up. When you put them in the middle of the tree, okay, we want them a little more straight. So the top of the tree, we want them angled up kind of like this. In the middle of the tree, you want them out, tiny bit up, but mostly just straight out. And then when we get to the bottom, angled down. See, it's not a big difference between the out and the down because you don't want it all the way facing down. You can't even see that. Can you see that? There we go. You want it just a little down so it follows the shape of the tree. Does that kind of make sense? I don't have enough to put these that close together. So we separate, we liven them up. These are really good to add in if you have holes in your tree. I'd like to have one here and one here, but I've got them up in my topper, and I may relocate those because I have some tall flowers I could use instead. We're gonna leave the middle one because I can add those flowers. See, so I need one right here, coming straight. And this is kind of a thing that happens to me all the time. In fact, I just saw it with my small blush tree that I did. I had ribbons on it the whole time, and at the end, right before I was done, I took them off because it was like they weren't working. And that's just kind of what you have to do. You have to be ready to like alter and change and be ready to roll. There we go. That's how we're gonna do Pics. So you can see that Pics really add a ton to your tree. They make it so cute, a little extra. Not everybody does it, so it's unique. Just so much more dynamic with Pics coming out of your tree. Sticky outy things. I love them. I love them. Lastly, I want to talk about something you can do before you decorate your tree, which is your lights. I'm a big fan of having 2 different kinds of lights. I like to put lights on my tree or use a pre-lit tree and then string a light of something different. Usually I go for a string of blinking lights. So I have the pre-lit lights on solid, not blinking, not doing anything fancy, and then I put in a string of twinkly, blinky, chasey something lights. This way, some of your lights blink and not all of them, and it just adds a more magical effect than to have the whole tree strobe lighting at you, which is also fun. A crazy disco tree, I'm down for it. But sometimes you want something a little less in your face, but still very magical. And putting in some twinkly lights, not completely all flashing lights, is a really great way to achieve that. So here you can see the tree done without any blinking lights on it, that just the regular lights on the tree. Keep in mind, my camera lens hates Christmas lights. Good for me being a Christmas tree decorator on the internet, but it doesn't pick up the lights as bright or as nicely, and sometimes it just cuts them out completely. But you can see the tree without the extra lights, and here it is with the extra blinking lights. It just brings it to life in a whole nother way, and it's so beautiful and so fun, and it just upgrades your tree really fantastically. So there's upgrades you can make to your tree. Make your topper a really big statement piece. Add in pics to give it more dimension, and play with additional lighting so that your tree just is something that is really brought to life and fantastical and fun. To see how I decorated this blush tree, you can click or tap right up here. And for just more of my face, you can click or tap right down here, there. Thank you so much for being here. I really love you. And until we meet again, sparkle on.